Hey, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Corporation Board of Directors and Executive Committee meeting. Today is Monday, April 28th. Let the record reflect it's 3 p.m. Do we have a quorum? Thank you very much. I don't believe we need to go around and do introductions today to save some time. Moving along, is there any conflict of interest declaration on any of the agenda items? Not hearing any, we'll move along. Looking for approval of the minutes held on December 16th, 2024. Thank you, Commissioner Oshie. Love a second. Second. Vince, thank you. Questions, comments, or revisions? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Public comment.
Sarah here is not that.
I'm going to fit her in. We're going to move along on the agenda. Well, any public comments?
No.
Thank you.
Not very fall. Okay. Was very strong. The worst was in the law. That's
great. What is that? Oh, financial report.
Okay, just a quick, is there like one more thing? Just to give you an idea of where we are currently, we're at about 48.63% of the budget. This varies. I mean, we're a little below where we need to be, but this is the Build Back Better is one of our biggest ones of this approved budget. And that's very hit or miss on when those come in. So that's really the only difference. I think we're okay with all of the other projects. So that's where we stand currently. This was as of the end of February. That's it for me.
Any questions on a financial report? Not hearing any, to move along. Thank you. Agenda item 5, member news and impact update. Turn it over to our Deputy Executive Director, Jen Littat.
well, sharing it with the community.
Was to double.
I'm not that. I'm fairly fortunate to have one microphone. Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. So, in the interest of trying to prepare members for what we anticipate coming financially, I've been working with our finance team to develop what our potential member dues number will be or need will be for our next fiscal year, which begins in July of 2025. So this, what we discussed, and this is not a vote today, this is a discussion. This is just to present what we're finding right now. We anticipate that we would bring formal action along with our budget in June for approval to be effective on July 1st, 2025. So what we see, just a quick update. So in our bylaws, which were recently updated, we have a calculation that is done to reflect how the member dues are proportionately distributed and paid by each member, which are counties and the city of Pittsburgh. So they look at the county land area, which is highlighted county decimal census population, sentinel, and then the county market values of property. So we look at those three. We assign a multiplier to that, which backs us into the number of our due reporting year. This vote is taken by our executive committee member of the commission. So here is a outline of what we plan for the next 2 years. So again, we're a planning organization. Our largest driver is our UPWP budget, which we just approved in December. Thank you, commissioners, for doing so. So we know what our local match will be. That is our largest, probably our largest driver of dollars that we have. So you can see that we anticipate, we know that we need about $518,000 for that and $527 in the next fiscal year to draw down those dollars. So we draw down $78 million from that area. We also have economic development programs, which are led by Jen Lasser. And then we have very small corporation and commission expenses that we take out of our overall budget. And then we have some areas where you're probably like asking, what are these things? right now we live in two worlds here in our SPC universe. We have a world where we're doing fantastic with regard to UPWP economic development. We have our dollars, we're matching, we're drawing dollars down, we're submitting our reports, we're doing great work. And I can say, being a newer member of the team, having a very strong infrastructure of directors, including those who have been promoted up most recently, has allowed me to really be able to focus in on these areas with Alicia. We want to try to correct and move forward. So that strong infrastructure is great because our directors are doing great work. They know what they're doing. They know how to get money. They know how to spend money appropriately, and they know how to report it appropriately to our entities we're required to. But in the past few years prior to me, there were some decisions made, decisions to move into this new location, partially because the old location was, I'm going to be just general, was the old location, and it was not necessarily reflective of the needs of this board. That cost a lot more money than anticipated from our organization. So the move to there, we had to do a borrowing, which was discussed in December, when our Mayor Dissel came in to discuss our financials. We had to do a $750,000 borrowing to bridge the gap of expenses here. We had to borrow about $250,000 internally to bridge the gap to have this building. This building is lovely. It's in a great location. We seem to be able to host a lot of meetings. It's good for the overall community. So we're here. We're here. We have a long-term lease, about 10 years. We're here. We're in it. This is this decision. However, the decisions that were made to get here cost us money that we weren't able to plan for. We're a planning organization. So if we can't plan for it, it has to come out of our reserves. Some years ago, our reserves probably were between about $400,000 and $550,000, right, Alicia? Right? Yep. We need those reserves because we're an organization that gets reimbursed for a lot of our expenditures. We have to spend money, so we use money internally, we borrow internally, and then we get reimbursed and we're able to push that money through. It's a great, it's a very good process. And when you have good teams like Alicia and her team, and I want to mention Kristen Baum's here as well. She's our number 2 in finance, and she's fantastic. And that's an understatement. She's absolutely fantastic, right, Alicia? Yes, she is. But when we have situations like that, when we deplete those cash reserves, we have to use borrowing internally. I think there was a study that was done a few years back, the evolution study, that cost about $400,000 that was not budgeted. It came out of reserve. So it took our reserve balance from a fairly healthy around $500,000 down to about 60. So we don't have much money in our reserves for unexpected expenses. So if we move to, I'm going to move to the next slide here. AJ, can you do that for me? We have some overages that occurred. Go back to slide. I apologize. I want to point you out to, you'll see a fiscal year 23-24 overage. 572 to 310 was the total. Alicia's broken this out over repayment over 2 years. I'm wondering what that is. That's an internal borrowing that we had to do. We had to borrow from money that we have internally. That money has to be paid back. We discussed this in December with our auditors. We can't just leave this internal load unreplenished. We have to pay the money back. So where did that overage come from, that 500-some thousand? This is beyond the study. This is something different. So for this building, they bought furniture. You can see the furniture payments, which have been paid off as of April 1st. April 1st, they were paid. So we had furniture payments for 23-24, $260,000. We had the principal payment for our bridge rate loan. That's like $750,000 to cover some of the cost of refurbishing here of $41,000. And then we had additional tenant improvements not covered by the loan, $270,000 just for that year. Alicia's team, this was kind of prior to Alicia being in her position, they borrowed that internally. Okay, so that's money that we don't have. It was borrowed internally. So that led to the $572,000 deficit we see here. And we went over with our financials in December. Marilyn just mentioned that we are in deficit spending right now. We're at a negative in our financials. I know I don't have to explain this. You guys are elected officials. You understand deficit spending, et cetera. So I know that unfortunately it's part of the business. Moving forward to what Alicia has anticipated for 24-25, that's this year we're in now. The furniture payments, which are paid off, that was another $220,000, and then another loan payment of $49,000. So that's what gives you can't see the grand total there because for some reason it's covered, but it gives you an $842,000 thank you deficit that we have to pay back. we have to pay back internally, because if we don't pay it back internally, and if money gets called or is needed, then that's not a good situation to be in. Now, I'm not here to make any comments about decisions made in the past. I think we're here. We like the building. We're doing great work here. Our staff is doing wonderful. What I'm here to do, what I've been asked to do by executive director, is fix this. How are we going to fix this? We got to move this forward. Yeah, I know. Thanks. There's not that thing we should fix it. Smart. Fix it. Go on to the next slide, please. So right now, our dues are calculated, as I said. It's the market value of your properties, your land, your size of your land, which doesn't change in the census. There's two calculations that happen. Every 10 years, we do a reapportionment, which means when the census numbers come out, whatever percentage each county has to pay gets adjusted when it gets done by the board, just so we're making sure everyone's paying fairly based upon your size. We also have another mechanism of adjusting dues, which is a due increase. The due increase that is being proposed would be going from 0.35 to 0.5. That would be the multiplier. So if we're going to look at the numbers above the yellow, that's currently what each member is paying. And then the numbers above the green, that's what we're asking the new members to pay just for the local share member dues. Our water dues, which you see in the next column, there's a red and indicates unchanged. They will not change, and that supports our fantastic water program, which is actually managed right now by Jen Lasser. We have 2 staff members. They go out to your communities. If you have not met with them directly, I'm sure many of you have. You should. They are experts. They do great work, and that program has been phenomenal for our region, and we're very proud of it. So next to that, we'll give the total amount that people would pay per year. That cost is split twice biannually, so you'll get 2 bills a year. They usually bills go out in September,
And then the next April.
September and next April. So I don't want to, as one of my first major recommendations to the board and executive director, say a dues increase, but there's no way other than to make an adjustment to the dues for us to be able to build out of the situation that we're in. There isn't any other way. We could try to do sponsorships, try to do some other things, but we're not going to build out $800,000 in debt. It's not going to happen. I'm being very frank. Can you go on to the next slide, please? So when we look at raising dues, we don't want to come back every year and do it. I don't think that that's fair to your communities. I don't think that that is good budgeting on our end. And so Alicia and I have been talking for some time about what can we do and when we want to build towards. We want to build, first of all, we want to get out of this internal debt. That's what we want to do. We don't want to have internal debt on our books. We don't want to have our auditors coming at us every year and saying, how are you going to pay these internal loans back? We want to build a plan that's going to pay these internal loans back. And if you see this 5-year projection that we had here, we are building to pay back the over for 23-24 over to 25-26 and 26-27 year, and then pay back the 27, the 24-25 overage over 27-28, 28-29. In that period, you'll see that there's this wonderful concept I love, which is called cash reserves. We need to rebuild our cash reserves. As an organization where we have a lot of money going in, a lot of money out, we have to put forth a lot of money in order to get the money to be reimbursed back. We need to have some level of cash. Now, the amount of money or cash I would like to have on hand is not something that I would ever recommend, because it would probably be in the couple $1 million, right, Alicia? Really, but that's not what we're looking at. We're trying to build towards, can we get to a couple hundred? Can we build eventually to 500,000? That's our goal. That is what we want to do. In addition, we have to invest in capital equipment in our infrastructure. I think our meetings run well, but I don't think anyone knows what WebEx is, and we're just going to use it, right? We're probably the last person that has a WebEx subscription. They'll help the company. They're doing monthly work, but in this world, we'd like to be able to share documents and be able to communicate with other entities in a more modern Microsoft world. So we had built in over into 27, over to 2030, putting money aside to invest in our modernization. Now, I will say, with the great efforts of our team internally, we have put grant applications and foundation application, I should say, into to help support that effort. Alicia and Kristen have scrubbed everything that we can to try to find dollars to support that as well. But that endeavor is over $800,000 to modernize our computer systems. And if we can't modernize our computer systems, that's what we do here. We want to get you maps. We want to do all the analysis, the surveys, everything we can for you. We want to do it as fast and efficiently as possible, communicate with your communities and your local government. So that process is ongoing. EJ, can you move to the next slide, please? I have two scenarios. This scenario has us paying for this modernization in 25, 26, if we don't have any additional funds that come out, which would lead us to later repay back our loans. But we have to, our systems are, I don't want to say they're duct taped together, Kirk will yell at me, but our systems are, they're moving along at a nice slow pace. We would like them to go at a maybe average pace. So if we don't get any assistance with outside dollars, we would use money in 25, 26 to help towards the modernization to get our IT system and then begin to more aggressively pay back our loans in the future years. So I know I went through a lot of information fairly quickly, but if I can summarize in any way, I will do it I'll do it right here. This is a great organization. The work that I've been able to witness since I've come here in June is just phenomenal. And I'm very, very proud of our directors, and I'm very, very proud of this board for all the support you give to us, because it is very great. We're grateful for it. It's very helpful. I would like for us to be able to do more, and our directors are screaming to do more. So if we can reinvest in us, we'll be able to reinvest and go after more grant dollars and be able to reinvest more into our community. So that's what the ask is. So in June, we will be bringing a member dues increase. So, but I wanted to provide this update to members now. So there's an opportunity to have individual discussion. I will come to any county and meet with all of you out in your space to go over how we calculate this, what we do for your communities, whatever you'd like. And I can do that for you over the next couple of months until we bring this to you formally. I don't care. I like to drive. I drive all the time with my kids. So it's sports class. And I don't have any issue. But with that, Mr. Chairman, that is my presentation. And I will take any questions that you read.
Any questions for Jen at this time? And I know next month we'll have an opportunity probably to engage in some of this conversation. And we're going to convene in Armstrong County on May 16th. So the county commissioner. So, but to reiterate what Jen said, if you have any questions, you want her to come out to your specific county, please go reach out to her. If not, we can ask those questions at our May 6th commissioners meeting in Armstrong County. I want to back up on the agenda here. I wanted to welcome a new member. I believe she's online, Bonnie Dunlap, who's an Indiana County Commissioner. She's replacing Robert Boardman. So, Bonnie, welcome to the Executive Committee. Also wanted to go back to public comments. LA County Executive Director here, Sarah Alvarado. I heard you were in Green Bay. Would you like to update us on your trip?
Thank you. So we were in Green Bay. Actually, Laura was there as well. And, you know, it was nice to see behind the scenes a major operation that will be, you know, coming to Pittsburgh next year. It's slightly hard to compare because Green Bay is such a small market and they have so much space. You know, bringing the draft here, it will be disruptive to traffic flows. It will be a big lift on the public sector. So I'm really glad that we have a full year to continue planning and then making sure that we can execute. But it is a very exciting thing. You know, the city is taking the lead on public safety. You know, that varies from market to market. We feel like we have enough officers between the city, county, and state to be able to provide a safe experience for everyone. You know, what Green Bay did is that they supplemented with private security, also an option. You know, they really, you know, because they shut down, you have to shut down roads and things to build up this big experience for people. There was like less disruption in the Green Bay space. But if you look at, you know, where we would be closing down roads and bridges and considering securing underpasses and things like that, it's going to be quite a challenge. And then you think about, you know, bringing hundreds of thousands of people into our downtown core and the North Shore. So, you know, I keep thinking about the urgency of funding our public transit system, which we know is facing, you know, a difficult time, not only in Allegheny County and in the SEPTA region, but probably in all of your communities. So just all the more importance for Harrisburg to step up and provide funding for our transit systems, because they're going to be very, very important and critical to our ability to be able to move the people where we need to go so that they can experience a draft. But I think the most exciting part for me is like, how does the public benefit from bringing a tremendous event like the NFL draft to our communities? So, right now we're signing people up with the NFL Source. So back in your communities and your counties, make sure you get the word out for your small businesses. Have them sign up for NFL Source. I think it closes on May 7th. The draft is very intentional. We worked with them to make sure that, they're going to cut bids so that they're executable for the most amount of businesses. So it's not just about the one provider that can, fulfill a $200,000 contract, but, making it bite size so that we can share the wealth as much as possible. And, there was other things we learned about how they're partnering with local charities and doing fundraisers that are, supported by the draft to support community-based initiatives. So, that we're really still like focusing on how we get the word out about Source. We still don't have the branding, but we really want to make sure that we're highlighting not just about the football fandom and the legacy of the Steelers, but really about all the things that make our region great. Our green space, our workforce, the innovation economy, the arts and culture, and really make sure that people are just parachuting in to experience football, but that they're staying and they're going out into our community. So we're being very intentional about how we advertise in different parts of the county, so people get out of that downtown core and go into our county and our region. Many of you will probably see hotels filled, especially as they're on the border of Allegheny County. So you're welcome for that additional tax revenue that you may collect. So I would say, be prepared, work with your local chambers on how you can highlight what's great about Washington County, about Beaver, about Butler. So as people are staying in your community and coming maybe for the first or second night of the draft, but they're staying there through the weekend and experiencing the best that our region has to offer. So if you haven't mobilized yet, now would be a great time to start having those conversations back in your communities to see how you can make the most out of hundreds of thousands of people coming to our region. Is there anything you would like to add, Laura?
Sure. So just on Source, one thing that's important to note is that it's the full 10 county initiative. So please be sure you're sharing that. A couple things I think are exciting about that are that they will be legacy documents. So everyone who applies will continue to be able to be used by communities long after the draft has left us. And they do keep a full database of everyone who applied. So even if you aren't officially accepted into the Source program, you are still within their database. So if they find they need an extra florist the week of the draft, then they know who to call. So please encourage the communities. And I think to county executive's point, it's just really exciting as a way to tell our story and showcase all that we have here, both our legacy and our future. So it's an exciting chance to be proactive in terms of business development and engagement, really showing off our best assets to everyone so that they may even want to come and invest in Southwestern companies. So it's a really exciting time. Lots and lots of work to do. It's definitely in Green Bay, you could sort of just see everything. Yeah. Or you could barely see all, get it. So it will be a challenge. We look forward to it.
I know in some of the pre-meetings, anticipation was about 500,000 people watching Thursday night on TV. It looked like there was a lot of pockets. What was the end number there? Do you know?
We don't even know. I think they're estimating about 200,000 people for the whole 3 days.
I just saw Andrew Stockey wrote, they estimated 250 and then up 600,000.
There's a sad
Yeah,
Wow. That was way more than they expected.
yeah.
But you might be counting like 250 plus 250, 55. It was still 600,000.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think we're going to be more like Detroit because of where we sit geographically, and that the commute that NFL teams would have here to Southwestern PA. So, but you're right, a lot of work. It seems exciting, but it's great for the region for sure. So appreciate the update. Thank you.
Sure.
Moving on to agenda item 6, we have an action item, resolution 1-25 to approve the revisions for the NDP CARES Act guidelines. I'm going to hand it over to Jen.
So also just before this, I wanted to say we sent this out to our prep group and all of our economic developers, all of the NFL draft source program stuff. So just that is out there, and hopefully you're getting some hits from that. So for the next item, what we have here is looking for an approval and review. So EDA RLF guidelines. Every few years we do a review, just update, make sure everything's in good standing, nothing's changed, just making sure it's extra clear. So we're, after going through both of the guidelines, just highlighted some key numbers we wanted to keep in place for the next few years, which is, for example, something strange that was in our prior ones that we didn't list the city of Pittsburgh, we listed Allegheny County. So we wanted to be very clear, even though it's part of it, we wanted to spell that out. We added under our target industries, manufacturing. We wanted to make sure we were explicit and that we have listing that we create one job for every $75,000 FARE. We have our application fee set at 1%. And we're a little bit more explicit on our credit collateral and clear loan process language, and included our late charge of 6% of the value. So nothing changed, but we just wanted to make sure it was more explicit in our guidelines. That's all. So we have that. If anybody needs to see it, look at it. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer. But this was just a standard process review of our documents to make sure everything was good. What we're saying is what we have on paper, and just really wanted to make it more clear. So that was for our load team.
Thank you, Jen. That resolution was sent out in your pre-package. It was also on the way in your packet to review. So there's not any questions for Jen or comments. We're going to move along, looking for a motion to adopt resolution 1-25. Coach?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone. At this time, we're going to put up on the screen, I'm going to ask for a motion to move into an executive session. So let's folks who are not on the screen, go get some beverages or cookie or something out in the kitchen. And those folks online are on the screen as well. You'll have to jump off until 4 o'clock. Our next meeting is June 23rd. Just a reminder, I believe DJ sent out a save the date for May 16th in Armstrong County. We'll be meeting at the Meredith Inn Restaurant, which is along the beautiful Allegheny River. So it's a nice venue, and we're trying to have our, what do we call it?
Calling it a refresh. It's our
Orientation.
it's our orientation, but we're also going to have Jen and Lily. It's our long range plan, and Jen's going to do an economic development plan as well. But it's specifically, what do you call? So it's the sets comprehensive economic development strategies. She says it well more eloquently than I do.
We'll let you say that later about the date, and we'll firm up the details.
Sounds perfect.
All right. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Leo, she for a second, but forward. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll be back with 2 more.